All right. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Hello, wild animals. Welcome back to our channel.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Jarrett, and you are now watching the Ben and Jarrett Show. So we are doing an everyday living today. We got to go to the grocery store during this time of quarantine and pick up some groceries. And I thought it'd be interesting if we would do a everyday living / story time.
Okay.
And tell how we met.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Since
I like
everybody
that.
keeps asking and everybody's wondering and everybody's like, I gotta know.
I like
We're
that
gonna tell
idea.
ya.
Okay.
All right. So I will let Ben start off his side of how we met, and then I will tell you all my side of how we met.
I mean, how far back you want me to go?
How we met.
Well, okay. So I was in college. It was, oh God, what was it? 2016? 2016. And it was right after that day in November that I don't want to talk about anymore. Me and my best friend Sydney, shout out to Sydney, had just got back we went to a concert in Nashville, and it was a couple weeks after that, and I decided to get on Tinder because I wanted attention, and so I got on Tinder and started talking to some guys, and I met with Jarrett, and it just kind of went from there, and he was my favorite one I was talking to, obviously. And we talked for a couple of weeks, and then we finally decided to go out on a date. He's actually the only person I ever have been on a date with from an app, so it just kind of really worked. We went to movies, and then we went to eat after, and it was just really good. And the rest is history, as they say.
That was cute and short and simple.
I mean, we can talk about more details, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell your side, and then we can tell kind of like the cohesive story.
Okay. So I was, oh God, where was I working when I met you? I believe I was working for a cable company. Yeah, I was working for a cable company. And at this point, I had been single for about 8 years. Before Ben, I never actually had a boyfriend. I never actually dated a boy. I knew that I wanted to be in a relationship at some point in the future, but I just had a lot of bad experiences with people, and people I thought I would connect with that I wouldn't connect with, people who only wanted me physically but not emotionally, people who were looking for hookups but weren't clear on their expectations and what they were really wanting. So, I had a lot of bad experiences, and so I hadn't dated since I last dated a girl, which was 8 years prior. And so it was really weird for me getting back out into the dating scene and trying to find out where I fit. I was in my mid-20s at the time, and I just wasn't sure of what to expect, so I was on several different apps, just like actually literally trying to meet people, but a lot of people have the intention of doing much more than meeting. So for me, that would always turn sour at some point. I remember there were several times where I would go meet someone and they weren't at all looking for the same thing I was looking for, and so it just got kind of weird for a little while, and so I just kind of gave up. Well, I finally decided to download Tinder because a lot of my friends at the time who I served with at
your other job.
Yes, my other job. They were saying, they were talking about Bumble and all these other dating apps, and they were like, well, you should download one of those. And I was like, no, that's not my kind of style. I've tried these apps. People just want one thing, blah, 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 And so I didn't want to, but I did. At the time, I was living alone in my own little studio apartment that was like the size of a pizza box.
It was tiny.
And I was like, well, why not? I've been single this long. What can it hurt to, just try? So, at this point, I was, very much looking for a friend and not a whole lot more. But I ended up meeting a few different guys, same as he did. I matched with several of them. I was messaging them, kind of getting to know them. A few of them seemed to be like-minded, and then others I was kind of uncertain of. So, it was weird for a little while. And then I met him, of course, and we matched, and I was talking to him. And then after about a month, it just seemed like everybody else just kind of fell away.
Yeah.
Like everybody else just kind of fell away. They weren't as interesting anymore. Yeah. They weren't on the same thing I was on.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they had the same intentions, or the same ideas or hopes for the future. Some of them weren't even in college. Some of them didn't care. So he just ended up being like perfect.
Yeah.
And kind of went from there. And we've been together ever since.
Yeah. But I like that you brought that up, because it's like I was talking to other people like when we met, and then like after the first date or two, like I just stopped talking to everybody else. I'm just like, I don't really want to talk to anybody else right now.
And plus, Louisville's so small. Once you talk to one guy, you talk to them all. They're all the same. I'm sorry, they're all the same. So we do live in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. For those of you who don't know, I don't think we've ever told you guys that. We will, in our next Q&A, don't worry, we got a lot of stuff we're going to be addressing in the next Q&A, so you will get to know a little bit more about all that.
I think somebody asked where we're from.
Yes. So we will get into all of that in our next Q&A. But, yeah, so it's a very small area, and like I said, once you talk to one guy, you talk to them all, and they're all the same. They really are. In fact, it's so funny because we were both on Tinder actually talking to the same guy. Yeah, believe this or not, it's true. We were on Tinder talking to the same guy when we were trying to get to know each other, because, we were still in the dating phase. So, we had completely open options. There was nobody who we had set our heart on.
Yeah.
But, is it fun now?
Yes.
Okay. So, we were actually talking to the same guy and didn't know it until we were probably almost a year in dating before we discussed that and found that out. That we were talking to the same guy and had no clue we were talking to the same guy. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how small it is here, and, just how much there is not a variety of men to choose from. Because most of them have slept together. Most of them know each other, hang out, in the scene or whatever. And we've never really been sane people, but we'll get into that a lot more too in our Q&A. And I'm not knocking the scene people. I love you guys. I love everybody. I love every kind of gay there is. But we're just not really that kind of. But yeah, so
that's how we met.
Yeah, that's really pretty much how we met. I mean, there's not a whole lot to the story. I mean, it wasn't like some amazing. No. It's up here, right?
Yeah.
Is it the left lane?
Right lane.
So, that's pretty much how we met. It's been great ever since, really.
Yeah. So
I mean, we're not perfect, but we rarely disagree. You guys got to see one of the few times we did. Like, we rarely disagree. We rarely have an argument. We never have an argument.
Yeah.
How you saw us react in our video,
it's about as bad as it gets.
That's literally, because we don't argue. We have discussions. And I think that that's a good thing for every couple to understand, is that you should have a discussion. You shouldn't be arguing. Arguing gets you nowhere, because when you come into a conversation with the intent to argue and only tell and hear your side and not the other, you're going to get nowhere. You're going to get nowhere. And that's always what happens. So we've just always kind of had a discussion like, hey, this is what, is going on with me. This is how I feel. This is what I think that you don't see or you don't understand. And, maybe because I wasn't seeing it your way, I didn't understand or I didn't see. So that's just my opinion on that.
I think a lot of that has to do with you, because I will argue. I'll argue in a minute. But what I've noticed about Jarrett is that he refuses to get loud, and he refuses to fight, I guess. Because when I get mad, I want to say something. And, like, when I get upset, I want to just say it. And I've kind of adopted his way of, like, just being like, you know what? I'm just going to be quiet until, you know, the situation has passed and I can address it later. Which drives me insane. Because I want to hash it out over and over and over and over again and just get into the details. And Jarrett just doesn't do that. And so it's kind of taught me and shaped me to be more level-headed. And I don't think we ever talked about our age difference because you're, what, 5?
Yeah, about 5. So I'll be 29 in August.
Yeah, and I just turned 23. So when we met, I was actually 19.
Yeah.
So, a lot of that could be an age difference. He's more mature. He's had a few more years to understand relationships, and I'm a little younger and more immature. So,
I think also a lot of that has to do with the 8 years I spent alone. Like, that is not an exaggeration. I was literally alone and single for 8 years straight. Part of it had to do with me really understanding who I am and that I'm gay and what that feels like and looks like as a black man in America. So a lot of it had to do with that. But also a lot of it just had to do with me working on myself. I didn't feel like I was ready to be in a relationship because it just didn't feel like it was time. And I think a lot of you who aren't in one or haven't been in one for an extent of time and then you get in one, you understand what I'm saying. It just didn't feel like it was time. I knew that I wasn't ready to meet somebody and give them me because I didn't have enough to give at the time. So I was really learning and working on who I am and what I bring to the table and how mentally and emotionally I can support someone in a relationship. And once I finally felt like I was ready to do that, that's kind of when I got back out there and met Ben. So.
And we had our first date. We went to see that movie with Amy Adams.
Arrival? Was
Arrival, yes.
Because there were literally no movies out, guys, that were good. All of the movies that were out were like shit. And we were like, there's nothing out that we both really want to see, but we were just trying to make sure we got our first date. So, I'm actually going to park down here because I know you like to park a little further away. So, it was just like, well, that's one of the ones that we'll, go see because, So it just happened. It just worked out that way.
Conversation for another video is our divergent taste in movies.
Oh, God, because
we cannot
trash taste.
We can't agree on a movie. And anytime we do agree, we're both like, about.
Oh, man. It's just, ooh, Lord have mercy.
But our first date, we were both being really nice. We were like, oh, it's whatever you want to see.
And I actually ended up liking that movie.
It was okay.
Arrival. I thought it was a good movie. If you haven't seen Arrival, check it out. I thought it was a good movie.
Then we went and ate at McAllister's.
We did.
We talked for hours.
We did.
We talked for hours.
We did talk for hours. Yeah. It was nice. It's nice to have a good conversation with somebody who doesn't have the intention of having sex with you the same night. Which a lot of guys in the gay community, as a lot of you people who watch, if you are gay, you understand what it's like and what the expectation is with a lot of men who meet you. They just don't have an intention of getting to know you a lot of times. So it was nice to just sit and talk and talk and talk and know that I was leaving to go home and he was leaving to go home and we found each other attractive, but that didn't mean that we had to sleep with each other that same night. We actually didn't do anything at all
for
like literally at all.
3 months?
Yeah, almost 3 months.
Which, I mean, that's the way we did it, but other people do it different.
I mean, some people do it different, but in my opinion, usually when you sleep with somebody, as soon as you meet them, it doesn't always end up working out. That's just been my experience. That's like a lot of people I know, that's been their experience. I just don't think that you should sleep with somebody as soon as you meet them unless you don't have an intention to be together or really get to know them on that level, because it never ends well. That's just my opinion, and that's been my experience. For those of you who disagree, comment down in the comment section below and tell us what your thoughts are on that and how you feel about that. Because I would love to hear it. I would love to hear stories of someone who slept with someone they met on the first night or the first week and end up getting married. I think that would be great, but that's just not usually the case from what I found. But yeah, so there's a lot more details in our personal life and things that we are going to share in our Q&A that we're going to be doing. I think that'll probably be the next video we do is our Q&A. We'll probably post that sometime this upcoming week. So just stay tuned, keep an eye out for that. And until then, we'll be working on more challenges and content for you guys. Hope you enjoyed our Hot or Not. We know how much you guys love those. We'll try to do those like once a month at least. It's just a lot of like editing that goes into that.
All the pictures, the scales, the titles.
Yes. I mean, like, you guys have no clue. If I filmed a video of me editing a video,
It would be very boring.
it would be boring as shit for one. And for two, you'd be like, oh my God, like, ew, I don't want to do that. That's just awful. It takes me like 3 to 4 hours to edit a video of that magnitude. And then it takes it 2 hours to render, which is a process of it bringing everything I've done together into one like final unit. So it's like super in depth and in detail, and it just, you don't, trust me, you don't want to watch a video of that. It will bore you to death. But yeah, so we'll get a lot deeper into some more questions you guys may have and things about us in our next video. And until then, we will see ya when we see ya.
All right.
As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Share this video to all social media platforms, and click the little notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we post our content. Until then, wild animals, stay chill.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I gotta get to the groceries.